All right, folks, welcome back. It is day 13. We're approaching 2 weeks, right? Feels like yesterday. 欢迎大家回来。今天是第13天。What we did yesterday was we actually some of the highlights from yesterday. We did our first synonym edition and maybe like 3 synonym editions, largely due to the nature of using contractions and abbreviations, right? Contractions and abbreviations. I have to keep my eyes peeled for that. Any type of translation that does acronyms and or turn of phrases, I'm probably going to actively add synonyms to it. I think Manikani, on the other hand, not as much, but I think on the HanziHero side, there is some liberties. It is quite telling the almost Americanized colloquialism that is involved in the synonyms, right? Or maybe it might be a generational thing. When I think of writing and format writing, it's a personal preference. I tend to like to write the explicit things when I'm writing as opposed to using acronyms. Largely, though, nowadays I've come to normalize a little bit of that in language when I'm typing and stuff where you use like abbreviations. I've adopted some of them, and those are pretty outdated at this point. So getting used to reading acronyms, that's an acquired preference in English for sure. Not entirely sure if that's translatable in Mandarin and or Japanese. However, I did talk with a family friend not too long ago. It was for like Thanksgiving, and there are some colloquialisms that I've already encountered where they're like, yeah, you don't say this, it's too formal kind of situation. So you still enter into that type of situation. However, in terms of like typing in acronyms, at least especially in English, that is predominantly a written thing as far as my experiences go. So the next time, I mean, it's strictly to a Twitch stuff and streamer stuff, but it will be interesting if I go back into like a setting, like a working profession setting. Do I hear things like SMH, IMO? I think I've heard it occasionally where someone say, well, IMO, this is it. Like, there are examples of this back in the older days too, like FYI or the TLDR, right? So it might be because I'm out of touch with the world that is not the internet, right? So it'll be interesting to see how far that goes. Oftentimes there are also unconventional acronyms. So unconventional truncations and acronyms is very interesting right now to me, largely because I've been interacting with people who are from different places. So much like how I make a jest about English all the time, English is confusing, aka or nuanced in the way that reflects its diversity of users, right? So I certainly have observed a lot of interesting things. More on that later, though. I feel like I would have to do this for another 2 or 3 years, and with a larger sample size to say a few observations about English and what it's like to learn another target language while using English as a bridging language. In my opinion, this is something not as well known, largely because language learning on a live service, like a live streaming platform, and doing this kind of thing is less popular. Let's just say less popular. However, it's more so that those who are competent and those who have had a professional background in learning and acquiring things do not have time to integrate and do these kind of things. So for the vast majority of time, English is used as a bridging language, not served as a technical language. So when, like for myself, I don't speak typically at a technical level. Like I don't use English at a technical level to try to interact with other people who are learning a target language. That would make you very nearly unintelligible, actually. And you might be thinking, wait, what do you mean by English being unintelligible? I know the words you're using. Is like, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee they're intelligible. There's a large dissonance and or misconception that in contrast to other languages, in my opinion, where they are very closed off and they have social norms of usage, like stronger social norms of usage, there is clarity, even though people keep hyper focusing on like, oh yeah, there's a lot of nuances, there are a lot of variations. Yes, they are. However, to glean a little perspective, this is not a competition. It's more of a thing to normalize. English is the language that will be most misunderstood, largely due to the various users. Take care, Sharon. Good luck. So it's not it's kind of the same but different situation where when you're learning a language with other people or talking to other people and your preferred language of communication is English, it can produce a different situation. For example, if you go to a native speaker in Japanese, for example, or Chinese, for example, and you consult multiple Chinese speakers who have the leeway of speaking English to you to explain things, that is very different from having someone who have learned Chinese, speaks English primarily, and you're talking to them about the Chinese, right? Is that important? I believe in both cases it's important. Not that you get to choose, basically. Do you want to spend most of your time using the perspective of Chinese people who learned English, so have learned Chinese? The reason why I say this is I think this is one of the topics that are defaulted. It's defaulted a lot of times, and it kind of predicates on the idea that what are your goals? If your goals is to move to China or move to Japan and live and breathe, that sounds very logical. If you're someone like me who may visit Japan, dabble in it, then come back to the United States because I like having the ability to have the perspective on English speaking as well, that can be something you can try to upkeep in Japan, right? Largely because Japan has access to the internet, which happens to default to English a lot of times, like for the majority of times. So that upkeep might not be as intense. Meanwhile, on the other hand, if you're someone who has no aspirations to spend the majority of life interacting with a very specific subset of people, there are different orders of priority. How often am I going to speak to a native Japanese person is a combination of the availability of that opportunity and myself, as in how much time I want to invest in it. So before we go off the deep handle and talk about, oh, but if you don't speak natural Japanese, Japanese people can't understand you, or they'll have trouble understanding you. It's like, yes, that's a compromise, right? I like speaking to people who are interested in learning other languages. I don't particularly find myself resonating with people who don't. And native speakers don't necessarily guarantee that they like other people's languages. So for example, when you speak to a native speaker, like even an American English speaker, and usually American English speakers are far more, like, arguably, debatably, up to you, right? For myself, I live in the United States and I'm born and raised as an American. I have a propensity to be concerned and want to be aware of other languages, despite the incredible stereotype that other countries are more diverse, they have multiple languages. It's not the same. Like, the English is in a different position. Now, I would agree if you're like a German speaker who has default English and then decided voluntarily to learn an Eastern language or something, specifically voluntarily out of yourself. Like, no obligations, no for outside pressure or anything, right? And that is my perception on this. I'm more likely to resonate, talk with, and communicate with someone who's interested in another language that is not English, right? English is a mandatory thing. So each and every one of the contexts of people learning English is English within their environment, right? If you speak to a Japanese person, they will have an impression of learning English. Germans do too. Like, everyone does have their own impression of learning English. When it comes to the other way around, when you're talking about like Mandarin and Japanese, you still get a little bit now because they're a bit more widespread. Not necessarily as a macro language, like how many people are speaking it, but how many different type of people. Now, it's still not standardized, as in like, oh, when you grow up, you have to learn Mandarin. If you grow up, you have to learn Japanese. So by default, whenever you talk to another person, they have their own opinions and impressions of that language. English is an exception. Maybe you can make an argument for Spanish, possibly. And in some parts of the world, maybe Mandarin, right? The idea is that changes the perception of learning. And for me, learning is first. So if I'm going to talk to a native speaker, it's great to use them as a resource to converse and get stuff in their language. However, it is, with all due respect, not empathetic. As in, when someone explains to you, oh, this is how we say this is how we say this, it's like, that's great. That's very great instructional things. Now, is this person showing the same passion and idea of acquiring a new language, right? If you go to a native speaker in the United States, you're going to get a 50-50 mix. I'm going to say roughly 50-50 mix. You're going to get a person who says, nah, I only need English. So if you want to learn English, I'll tell you what I know about English, but I'm not really interested in language learning. That attitude, that type of mindset is not bad or good, but it does serve a purpose. And that purpose is that idea that those people don't address or think, or is less likely. Not everyone. People who are not interested in language learning might have an inherent compassion and nurturing personality. If I were to take a gamble, I would prefer someone who is interested in learning another language voluntarily to increase the frequency of my chance of talking to them. So why is that important? Being able to normalize what it's like to talk to another language learner is very different from normalizing the behavior necessary to talk to someone in their natural environment. I say this because I do that. It's called code swapping. So when an American English person talk to me, I speak in a manner that is resonating with them, right? That's the whole idea of the native speaker fallacy, where you're accommodating a expectation So, if I am going to spend the rest of my life being a language learner, I de-emphasize, but I open the welcome opportunity of meeting a very agreeable native speaker. However, that native speaker has to also genuinely share a mutual interest in acquiring another language. When you're tackled in target languages where the massive majority is not interested in voluntarily learning another language, to me, that is less of a source of companionship or relationship, right? For example, if you go to Japan, I would say a good majority or a significant majority would see English as a necessity, as in, oh yeah, they teach it in class and I don't have a lot of, you just have to learn English. I don't have any opinions. It's not fun. It's a thing you have to do. And that's acceptable. That's awesome. They still learn English by default and whatnot. Language learners from an English perspective, you're choosing to do that voluntarily. So that enthusiasm might not be reciprocated. So how is this effective though? It's effective if the native speaker you're looking for is a teacher, right? Then it's their job to care about disseminating their language appropriately. When you're talking to someone else, it can become a point of contention or impasse or just not a very frequent interaction of common interest, right? Language exchange is a great way because you're meeting people who are actively exchanging language and they both are interested in learning the language, and that ups the chances. So I don't mean to de-emphasize going out and hunting for native speakers. However, if you're if one is a language learner and they like learning languages for life, the odds are at some point in your downstream effect, you will meet someone who is a native speaker and that interaction happens. Going out of your way to predicate your entire ability and your entire learning process to normalizing to a state that you yourself may not even be interested in the first place, largely due to the nature that you and that state are not the same, that's not for me. For others, absolutely. So I don't prioritize going out and saying, oh yeah, I want to speak to you because you're a native speaker. It's like, no, I want to speak to you because you're interested in languages. You're interested in language learning. So if there's a native speaker, it's like, okay, let's try something. Ultimately, when I start talking about language learning, it's, to me, as a face culture kind of person, it sounds like I'm more of a burden to them. And you can't remove that feeling, honestly. As from my perspective, you can have the assurance of the other, oh yeah, no, you're not bothering me. It's like, but you're not interested in it as well, right? That's a difference. Like my family friend, the first thing she said out of enthusiasm is like, oh, I'm learning English. Her English is great. Like we use English all the time, and we also use Mandarin from time to time. The first thought, she was like, okay, so if I can teach you Mandarin, like help you with Mandarin, can you help me with English? And that is the type of thing that I'm talking about. I earnestly think hyper focusing on what your end goal is and not focusing on what is gonna allow you to sustain and be a active language learning, it, to me, is not a sustainable balance. You spend 99% of your time language learning, but you want to spend most of your time using a language that you're currently learning, like practicing a language that you're currently learning with people who aren't learning a language. So the odds are twofold. As a language learner, you might be like, oh, what if I've embarrassed myself? Oh man, what if I say the wrong thing? It's like, that's probably true. Like, you're gonna get weird responses and like weird reactions because the people you aim, your holy grail is to converse with someone who doesn't think about language learning. So they're like, okay, I'll try to be nice and say these things, but ultimately their reactions and feedback will not be in the context of, oh, this person's a language learner. Oh, I know they can. Maybe they. You don't get those feedback because there's a really high chance those people are not interested in language learning, right? So they have no mindset for that. It's great to use them as ways to practice one directionally, and or they are teachers, people who are hired and or employed or paid for to teach you these things. Outside of that, other language learners or people who have learned the language already, for example. So this thought has come up a lot of times. I think it's basically such a super ham-fisted leap of logic, in my opinion. I mean, I'll agree to disagree with people who are polyglots and whatnot. How am I disagreeing with them? I agree with the idea that all of these are ways to learn a language, and one is faster than the other or more efficient than the other. I concede that wholeheartedly. What I disagree with is how sustainable that approach is. You're looking for an ideal case, and you're looking for a situation in which it might not necessarily be accessible, but it's also an unhealthy relationship with idolizing specific situations while not focusing on the reality or the personal state of your language learning, right? If you're still learning new words and you're constantly focused on, I need to sound like this, I need to be like this person who happens to be a person nothing like you, and you're constantly modeling after that, it works for some people. Does it work for everyone? No, obviously. That's a terrible counter argument. Does it work for most people? Contentious point. That's debatable. That's very debatable. I think a large portion of the recession in like the mid period, like after 2 or 3 years, the digression or the fallout or the disinterest, might actually be associated with the perception of who do you interact with, who is your idolized situation, and whatnot. So, for example, people who spend 2 years and they say like, oh, most of these people are now JLPT1 compliant. It took me 2 years. Should I give up? Right? That is a way to keep your eyes on the target, but also pretend or be obscured in the sense that you're looking so far ahead that you didn't upkeep what's in the meantime, right? It's like hyper focusing on something that isn't happening right now. Like you're gonna become a superstar athlete, but you decided not to focus on your diet. You're really fit right now and you can run like a superstar athlete, but you don't think that eating and managing your nutrition is important because it's sufficient, right? You don't see them do that because they don't have to worry about that anymore, for example. Or like, for example, here's another great one. Oh man, this content creator puts out videos. They're so high quality and they're so good and they're so consistent. Meanwhile, my first thought is, man, I wonder how they got that workflow to work. Because the last thing I want to think is, oh, I should start a YouTube channel and I could be that immediately. Let's model my stuff all after that without going through the necessary process, right? Process of, I don't know, recruiting an editor, having a workflow. All these things are lost when you're focusing on something way downstream. So I wanted to iterate on this because there's quite a lot of conversation now as I'm branching into like different ways to language learn, or different approaches for language learning. The idea is I'm a language learner, so I'm exploring the different ways to learn language. And in the process, I am responsible for accumulating and making my progress happen while exploring these things. if you're learning something, it's worth investing in how you're learning something and making note of what you're doing to learn something. Constantly emphasizing, in my opinion, to a fault, less so about Chinese, but more about Japanese language learning. I feel like it's so much more about Japanese language learning at the moment. Large, maybe like selective bias. That sudden hyper focus on something so far at the end, maybe not even reality for most people, that might change. All the stuff you're planning for that vision may change by the time you get there. It often sacrifices the awareness of the present for something desirable. So if you keep telling yourself, I'm going to be fluent one day, I'm going to be fluent one day, I'm going to sound like this, I'm going to do all these things, you stop planning for the present. You keep planning for something that may or may not happen. Right? And the reason why it may or may not happen is because you're not working towards that right now. You're dreaming and thinking and hoping and focusing and paying and making decisions based on a goal that is really far off, that could happen if you focus on working towards it in the present time. Yet, planning for something that will happen or you think will happen in the future is not planning for the thing to get you there. So, I wanted to say this largely due to the nature that there's so much information out there right now. People tell you what you need, what you want. No, actually, they don't tell you what you want most of the time. They tell you what you need, even though they mean what you want or you may or may not want. So oftentimes I get this bout of mania every time I see a video that says, oh, you don't need this, you need this. Like, oh, you don't need this. Oh, you might not need this because let me tell you what you can do so that this will make you successful. And in my current thought immediately is like, well, you can't know success or anybody you're talking to. You can suggest things that you can start now, try it, evaluate it. Here's all the stuff that I've done, right? I've done this. I thought about these things. I tell myself, is this working? How do I evaluate? How do I tell myself that these things are working, right? And then is it getting me closer to that thing? But that's only after I consider what's happening right now, right? In the near future, or in a future that is near almost set in stone in the sense of what you're going to do, right? So what am I doing now that I could tell you about? And if you haven't started language learning, where can you start and then provide the constructive criticism of how you would tell, do you already know if something is working? Well, for me, I did this to see if it's working outside of whatever this is, right? I check myself. I do these things. Do you have a version of this for yourself? How do you know you like something in the first week, the first month? In which way are you saying this? Because when someone goes around and say, you need this, that's arrogant, in my opinion. That's arrogant, irresponsible, and simply a projection of overconfidence, in my opinion. It's overreaching, right? It's very different if that person goes around and is like, okay, so this is my opinion. This is my life story. This is how I learned Japanese, which is a fairly common way to go about it. And the people that I watch or like people link to me, it includes some of that. I don't think it's apparent and vigorous enough or consistent enough to remind people that that is anecdotal. This is anecdotal information. When someone tells you you need this, they don't know that. They're talking to you like a general audience, right? You need this. Well, if this person says you need this and they give you a bunch of lists and stuff, ask yourself, do you need it? Because they stated a lot of things. Do you need any of those things? If you don't, the answer is no. And you could say this person's incorrect, or you can take it like, oh yeah, okay, the person tried. It's not for me. I think This remediates that situation where someone immediately dismisses other people's suggestions and at the same time does not take your eyes off the ball. You're not looking at where the ball is going to go. You're keeping your eyes on the ball, right? When you're kicking something, you keep your eyes on the ball. Yes, you could be very experienced and you could take a gamble and take your eyes off the ball and kick it and hope that it gets to the goal. Absolutely. The chances are you can probably do both, and you try to keep yourself to do both. Some people constantly look at where they're about to go and they never look down. They never look at what they're doing, in my opinion. Or they seldomly. So when you're language learning, my first thought is, for Mandarin or Japanese, you have hiragana and katakana to look forward to in Japanese. Like, get started on that. It's amazing. It feels so liberating when you get one character, and then 2 characters, and then 3. HanziHero, Mandarin is somewhat analogous when it comes to what's the point of learning one mnemonic? Well, it's one mnemonic more than I know yesterday, and that one mnemonic can be applied to this. Now, there's a chance you won't end up using that mnemonic in the future for this new thing, but you can repurpose that mnemonics learning lesson into a new application, right? That's focusing on the present. What a person that is keeping their eyes on the goal downstream as opposed to seeing what's in the present is someone who says, why do you need mnemonics if you can just remember the thing without it? Like, it's not like you're going to use mnemonics when, in the middle of a conversation in the future. It's like, well, you actually can, but that's up to the person who's using it. However, it's like, it doesn't make sense to learn and invest all this time in learning mnemonics if you're not going to use it in the future anyways. It's like, well, yes, it's kind of like saying you don't have to use math because you're never going to use it in the future. It's like, well, you don't know that. You don't know that. It's that is the thing. The difference in mindset is so different. Like, you try to know things and learn things the best you can by being involved in what's available now, in anticipation that it may or may not be useful in the future. The idea is that learning experience allows you to exercise different avenues, be open to the idea that things change as you go, right? There are things that you are going to find, I don't need this anymore. And because you don't need this anymore, you know what it's like to see something not useful anymore. You know the value of mnemonics as you're learning and know when to drop the mnemonics because you don't need them anymore. That is active participation in your learning. You know when, oh, okay, I can just shortcut here to here because then it will liberate some time for me to use the same thing for new things. And to me, it's not quite clear if SRS, like Wanikani and HanziHero, communicates that through their design. It is clear to me that that is what I'm doing for Wanikani and HanziHero. So I embellish and add more things, but then I also refine and rotate things out, right? So why is this relevant for my thought in HanziHero today is I'm doing that now. There are certain things that I'm like, okay, I don't need to do this process every single time. It's become a little bit second nature, so I can do shortcuts. In Wanikani, yesterday was like a 6 to 7 hour session, and I noticed a couple of things that I can cut and become more and more efficient, right? However, the value of knowing what to cut, how to refine your process, involves doing it in the first place. You can have someone tell you how to do it, but the act of doing it has its own perks or has their own application. So when someone asks you, when you say, oh, this doesn't work for me, my first question is Can you explain why it doesn't work for you? Or how it doesn't work for you? And I think that falls apart most of the time. So instead, the person's like, oh, it just didn't work. Like I measured this and that. I'm not sure how that is related to that, but can you explain that? Okay, instead of pressing that, I'll ask them, oh, so what does work for you right now? And they would say, like, I don't know, Anki works better, right? And my first thought is, so how do you know that Anki works better, right? Have you used other things? What's your standard form of reference? What is your control? Are you comparing this to the first language you learn? What you learned in high school or middle school? It requires that context. And, some people will say, oh, yeah, because I used to learn Spanish in high school and then I didn't use it and I completely forgot it, right? And I'm like, well, how does that relate to what you're doing now? You're using it right now, so it's not like you stopped using it yet. So when you stop using it, do you still remember it? That doesn't reflect upon the tool. Because if you choose to not use the tool anymore, do you still remember it? You're comparing Spanish or your experience in Spanish at a certain point that is not contextually relevant or similar to the point that you're making on a specific topic, right? Like in a different space and time. Largely, in my opinion, one of the symptoms or consequence of this is when someone is learning, they only focus on the end result. You forgot Spanish because you didn't use it. Currently, you're learning a language and you're currently using it. So what happens when you stop using it? You're probably going to forget it too. So you didn't do anything about ascertaining what is the difference between when you forgot Spanish and why you're currently learning this. And one of the reasons is you're more engaged. You're engaged for a longer period. That might be a reasonable assessment. What kept you learning Mandarin or Japanese for 3 years versus only 1 year in Spanish? If you were, in my opinion, the difference is there's 1 year of engagement or maybe obligation or what have you. There's so many things you can highlight that's different from the 3 years of consistent engagement in your target language now. You can also factor in you're an adult now. You're not a kid obligated to learn a language that's forced upon you. There's so many other details that are important that isn't strictly confined to the end, to the goal. One little silver lining. I like to use this as an underrepresented. I feel the comment that I just made is a minority opinion, is underappreciated, is underrepresented, largely due to how healthy it can be for someone. Feeling like all the time when you're focused on ends justifies the means, when you reflect upon a past and you no longer do those skills, it can feel like a waste of time. And for those who feel that might encroach upon their purpose, their life, their self-esteem, their self-worth, I think that is what I'm talking about, the emotional benefits of sometimes understanding and appreciating the process of doing things. It can breathe life to things like, oh, I wasted 3 years learning Spanish. I don't even use it now. It was a waste of time. Well, it wasn't. If you reflect upon or it can be, right? I'm not saying you don't have to believe me or not. It's your choice. When you think about the Spanish and when you're going to learn a new target language, how do you use your experience from that Spanish cycle because you were focused on it? Not that you can do it in retroactively that well. However, for the future of your language learning, that focus on the present can be invaluable to the future of your language learning. Not that hyper focus on if you become fluent or not. It doesn't matter. In my opinion, it matters a lot less for those who are struggling to stay consistent and constantly focusing on an end goal that requires consistency already. So if you are not consistent already, happy, engaged, and whatnot, regardless of what you think about that fluency and how fondly you think about Japanese culture and learning a sentence and stuff, it can be very inspiring and get you anxious and move your butt. It requires a consistency that hopefully you already have. Then you can talk about those things, right? At least in my opinion. So there's so much competition for giving guarantees, but so much less underrepresentation of what that actually looks like. So call me a little bit cynical when it comes to, I can see to be a little bit cynical when individuals would summarize their stuff without even the least bit of demonstration. And then when they demo the thing, they talk from a perspective of prospective results as opposed to the practical use of it. It's less so instructive, yet they present themselves as instructors. Like, hey guys, here's a life hack. This is relevant to TikTok and other things. Here's a life hack. Here, I'm going to show you this. Isn't that cool? And then if you're someone who steps back and think, why don't they just do it like this way and not have to do that at all? And you start asking yourself, well, am I being pragmatic about it? Do these people have to do it? Because it's twofold in my opinion. It's neat that this person can do it that way. That's kind of neat. Will I choose to do it that way? No, because I can think of a practical way that everyone has been doing for hundreds of years, right? That is a sound response with two different perspectives. The alternative is, oh my gosh, this is the best life hack ever. I'm going to start from now to always do it just like this person. Meanwhile, you have the skeptic and say like, well, isn't that just like drilling? You just take a regular drill and drill it in. Why don't you just go buy the tool necessary for that? It's like, it's not that neat to reinvent the wheel, right? If you're part of any one of those one perspectives, those are probably among the top 5 most common perspectives. And they're at kind of opposite ends. My thought is, if I have time, I might as well try that. Like, who knows? It might actually inspire me to do something else. Meanwhile, I already know what I'm currently doing, right? Like, microwave your eggs, for example, microwaving your eggs. If there's a life hack for that, and you start thinking, well, I mean, I don't mind putting eggs on a pan and whatnot. Let's evaluate. Let's try it out, see what happens, instead of fully embracing it, because of the hype and emotional distress or FOMO or what have you. And you can do both, right? Some days I microwave my eggs, and then some days I put it on a pan. So, and then you're thinking, well, if you're gonna put it on a pan anyways, the microwave egg is just worse. I'm like, well, it's only worse if your goal is the same goal, right? Like, oh, I want to cook eggs that taste good. Well, the best tasting egg is on a pan. Then yes, I agree with you. The only way your universe will be satisfied is if people don't microwave their eggs, because it's not as good as the pan for the purpose of your goal. So ask yourself, why do you want to be fluent in Japanese, right? You're going to get different answers, right? At least I hope you're going to get different answers. Now the question is, how do you get there? Shocking, like, the most surprising thing about me when it comes about my experience with language learning, you can collectively base the frequency of someone telling you how to learn Japanese and Chinese based on the relative popularity of specific influencers and names. And yeah, that's cool. That's a neat thing to have to keep in mind. However, I don't necessarily think that encourages people to problem solve and learn and be invested in their learning. It tells me more likely that they are being conditioned to believe certain things due to exposure, much like language, right? If you see something enough times, you will believe it works, and it can work. It can definitely work. Is it mentally healthy and sustainable when it doesn't work? I'm not sure. That's what I'm concerned about. So when someone tells me this is better than something else, I'm more curious about what they mean by better. It's often a substitution as opposed to a holistic approach. I think life skills and habits are typically holistic in nature. So when someone says you don't need this, but you need this, you don't want that, but you want this, that's substitution, right? And substitution oftentimes involves things that are so easily understood, or quote unquote universally understood, that you don't have discussions or opinions on them. And then you go to watch a story and you're watching this person debate and counter argue so many things. That should, in my opinion, raise a cognitive red flag for, oh wait, this isn't clear cut. Perhaps a more holistic approach and experimental approach will allow you to stay grounded and active and invested in your own learning, right? When someone tells you this is the best new next thing, and it's something that is contentious and people disagree about, I would say due diligence, discipline, keep your eyes on the ball, read out, try out products, figure out if it works for you, right? That's my story for my introduction for HanziHero today. Like, I'm not saying HanziHero is for everyone. Hopefully, that's what translates. In the end of the day, see if this is interesting. Maybe you think what I'm doing is fun, and I would love to hear your versions of it, right? If you tell me what level you're on, and like Wanikani, like you're on this level, it normalizes the thing. So yeah, that's a great way to relate. However, I think the most richest thing about learning something is also learning a lot about yourself. Learning is transformative. And the take-home message here is, if you're learning something, I think one of the hidden goals of learning a language is rediscovering how you learn. Language is a difficult task, right? Learning a language is a difficult task. It involves a holistic, it appears holistic because there are a lot of skills involved, not specifically immediately apparent to individuals who hyper focus on a very specific narrow metric of language learning, like how many we're not even talking about things that are related to language itself, like how many vocabulary words you know, what grammar you know, what is your conversational level. I'm talking about time management, process-oriented planning, critical thinking, problem solving, periodic evaluation, recall, due diligence, right? These are all in my opinion, the fundamentals that was underlying the motivation of putting people through school. When you go to elementary school, middle school, high school, ultimately those challenges are holistic. They're not meant to specialize you into something so early. The idea is to provide lots of challenges and stimuli in which one is obligated to try to solve those problems. And the difference between someone who becomes successful, in my opinion, among the few couple characteristics that allow someone to become incredibly successful and be able to obtain the value of an education, is largely the experiences and intellectual growth that they overcome or refined during the process of learning. And later on, when you choose to learn a language, that provides in itself an opportunity to rediscover how your how you once learn and how you learn now, right? It is nice to start with where you once learned, but you're a different person now. So for the adult language learners out there, that's pretty sweet. And for children who gets to learn multiple languages, they have multiple challenges, right? How to learn Mandarin and Chinese is very different from how to learn English. However, there is one commonality. They're all participating in language learning. So at least there's that. And that goes back to my first rant about the native speaker thing. Yes, you can gather information from a native speaker in a specific context. However, also keep in mind what you can't gather from them. And that's probably some native speakers, actually quite a lot of native speakers that aren't in an English-speaking country are not interested in acquiring new languages. So if they learned English and like Japanese at the same time, that's very different from a substantial number of people that I've interacted with who choose voluntarily to learn another language at a later time, right? There are wonderful personalities and professional people out there that do know these things because they continue to learn language. So yeah, shout outs to the professional polyglots and out there who are sharing their experiences actively still, because they are still actively learning language. Are they native speakers? I mean, they could claim they're native like, that's fine, but I don't think that's relevant. I think the most prioritized relevancy is that they can communicate in a different language and still continue to think that language learning is exceptional and fun and active. When you're speaking to a native speaker, it's not guaranteed that that is the case. So, pardon me for sounding a little selfish, but at the same time empathetic. It can be twofold conflict of interest. You meet someone and you want them to teach you a language, but they're not interested in learning a language. That can be burdensome, even for the most caring and empathetic person or stranger. On the other hand, if you do find that there's an opportunity to encourage them to learn, participate in language learning, that's kind of neat too. So take your choices at your own risk. Anyways, now let's get to our lesson. All right.
18.
Oh, 18. That's fine. This is vocabulary. So for vocabulary, we're gonna trust that we have the components. And then we're largely focusing on how to interpret the components. I mean, the characters that form the vocabulary, and not like using the mnemonics for the separate components, right? Unless we drop one of the separate components or separate characters. So, 10 comes before 8, so it's 18. Whoops. Oh my gosh. That's not good.
18.
The dictionary pop-up blocked my... Yeah, that dictionary pop-up blocked my click onto something. And that can be a UI related problem. Anyways, all right. 18岁. Oh, you don't have to say 10岁. 18岁. 这本书有18 pages. 章间.
他18岁。
哦，之
这本书有18页。
Oh yeah, what the? Oh, I no. That was just a guess. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, for pages. Okay. Yeah. 18个学生在教室里
18个学生在教室里。
18个学生在
18个学生在教室里。
教室里 Yeah. Okay. All right. 18
18
and I think I can write 18. Yes.
5月
Okay. 5月 fifth month, April. 5月5月31号。
5月31号。
哦，5月是春天，春天的梨梨 something. What does that look like? It's season, so 里鸡里天里天里鸡里节
5月是春天的季节。
Oh, it's 季节 Oh, that's a G. Wait, really?
5月是春天的季节。
I thought it was. Oh, okay. So 季节 Oh, okay. So 节 was fine, but 季 I got 季
5月是春天的季节。
季节 Okay. And wrong tone on the 节。我们在5月5月去旅行。
我们在5月去旅行。
Okay. Sorry, I had to cough. My voice is giving out already. 5月
5月做
Okay. So we got Slender Man yesterday. Saw. Oh yeah, that kind of looks like a saw. Huh. Zeus. Oh really? Zeus, huh? Okay.
租
Zoo for similar to tsu. Oh, and kids. Zoo. Kids zoo. I don't know about that. Kids. Okay, kids. I see. With English all sound appended to that, it's okay. Zoo. Yeah, okay. I see. The beginning of the name, okay, Zeus. But the name somewhat sounds familiar to. Okay, similar. God of sky and thunder. He is often seen wearing a toga and can throw thunder from his hands. Yes. 做 lots of 做 Okay, 做 and 做 yeah, and 做 yes. Oh, so it's seats if you put the canopy on top of 做 I see. I didn't know that.
租
Okay. Saw. Kind of just looks like a saw. Yeah, it just kind of looks like a saw. We're good. Wait, I thought they used 见. Oh, za. Interesting. Za is first too. I wonder how that is used. 则 酒 No, wait, 做 sorry, not 做 有做like 昨天做 and 炸 to extract 炸 I don't think I've seen this combination. Oh, whoops. Component.
坐
Okay, what is Slender Man doing with a saw with Zeus in the bathroom of the office building? Zeus is in the bathroom of the office building taking a break from work. He sees Slender Man and gives him a saw. He then challenged Slender Man to try to cut off his arm so he can demonstrate his godly strength. Do it, he screams at Slender Man. Well, that's kind of dark. Dark and weird at the same time. 工作工作松作 no 东 that's 东 oh 东作做事 no 做事 no 坐着 oh my gosh that's yeah that's right 坐着 right what that's not 写 at all oh wait that is 写 oh 写作 oh my gosh that's how 写 is written dang that is so different to operate 满座 no 操 oh wait yeah oh 操操作 okay no idea news to me oops loose office building bathroom
坐
do it hey saw Zeus 5月
5月坐
18 okay let's go next lesson 看 look at interesting 看 all right so we got eyes coming up Kermit the Frog at the pawn shop inside no Kermit the Frog in the bathroom of the pawn shop with the hands and eyes it looks like eyes we're good probably use the same mnemonic to economize the heck does that mean to economize like to make more affordable all right 香猫 oh yeah frost 双 I'm not sure if I use that
看
all right what are we doing Kermit the Frog is in the bathroom of the pawn shop trying to capture one of the ancient relics they have on sale that has gotten out of its display case. Interesting. It is a hand with an eye in the middle. Like Pan's Labyrinth? Really? It opens its palm and the eye looks at Kermit the Frog, yeah. So like Pan's Labyrinth kind of really? Except it's attached to a body, you know. A guy with eyes on the hand. Kermit looks at the eye and begins to feel faint, then passes out. If you look at the eye of the hand, this will happen. Alright. We're thinking more like magic school at this point. Kan seems. Oh, kan lai? Is that lai? Yeah, kan lai. Oh, so you no longer push. Interesting. Kan chu. Oh, kan fa, which is not kan chu. Kan fa. I saw this part and I'm like, no, there's water. Kan fa. Kan fa hao kan. Nan kan. To see through. I don't know what that kind of looks like. Oh, that is Tron. Wow. Like, to where? To where? Chuan. Like Chuan Yifu, right? Wear clothes. Okay. Kermit the Frog in the basement of the pawn shop, chasing after ears, or not ears, eyes and hands, running around, looking at, I guess, to look at the hands or eyes, right? Fun. Okay, parts. That's kind of it overlaps with Wanikani as well. Same thing, sword. Yep. Just a handle part. Right. Dole. Right. Dole. I don't know what this is. Qie. Jian. Really? Chu. Oh, Chu. Yeah, Chu. Okay, that kind of checks out with show. Okay. Alright. Fine.
Fun.
Alright. Fun. What do we got? Frodo. Frodo is outside the entrance of the infirmary with some sort of fins and swords. Okay. Frodo is in front of the infirmary battling a pair of floating fins. I mean, Frodo is part of fantasies, so that are chasing him around the hospital grounds. He takes out his sword, Stinger. Wait, was it called Stinger? Or Sting? I think it was called Sting, right? And cuts them into many parts. The doctor rushed out and put the parts on a stretcher as they can save the fins. What the? What's up with the last part? 十分? Really, totally 十分? Interesting. 分小, right? 分小 to separate. 分校 branch. Oh, that makes sense. Arts, school, branch, campus. 分别 分别 Oh, 分别 no 分别 makes sense. To break apart to another, so apart. And then that's B, maybe beefin. Yeah, beefin. Score. Beefin. That kind of makes sense. Like from the B, or B is like comparing, right? B compare and then compare parts. It's a score is comparing two teams, right? Comparing two parts. Interesting. Neat. And so Frodo outside of the infirmary, hacking up some floating fins with his sword into parts.
Fun. 水
Shay, okay. A harpoon instead of a barb, huh? Okay, water. Sherlock Holmes, nice. Okay.
书
Chu Sherlock, okay. Chu, yeah, shoe. The name Sherlock Holmes begins with SH, so we chose him to reference. Sherlock Holmes is a fictional detective known for his proficiency in observation, deduction, and logical reasoning. Yes. Shun, Shui, Shu, Shuang, yeah. Okay. So what do we do? Shu.
书
Okay. Harpoon. A barb at the end. Yeah, barb or harpoon. Good enough. What the heck are these choices? Okay. Okay, harpoon. That was a little. Okay, and then. Wait, we have to get water too? Water with splash everywhere. Yep. That's. Okay. Here are we. Eternity. Interesting. Okay.
水
Okay. So Sherlock at a beach house. At the basement of a beach house dealing with something with water. Sherlock is in the basement of the beach house, investigating an unusually high water bill. He confidently looks at a water pipe on the ceiling above before hitting it open with his cane. A whole mafia of crabs falls out, revealing their water bootlegging operation. They scurry away. Kinda cute. They scurry away while water spurts out everywhere in the basement. A whole mafia of... Wait, what do you call a group of crabs? Is it... I'm kind of curious if it's actually called mafia. Oh, it's a cast. A cast of crabs. Okay. 水手. Oh, 水手. Okay, call shui. Yeah, call shui. I like this one. 水果. Right, 水果. 风水. Oh, wait. Feng, as in like, 风, 风水. Feng shui. Oh yeah, stays the same. Fun is similar, or the same, identical. And 海水. Hai shui. Okay, makes sense. Sea water. It's literally sea water. Okay. Sherlock Holmes in the bathroom, right?
水
Investigating the water bill. Okay. All right.
Shui.
Wait, beach was parentheses. Yeah. Wait. Oh, it's bay, right? Bay was the ironic. Then, what was this? Frodo in front of the infirmary, hacking
Fun.
up fins into parts, and a harpoon. Character pronunciation. Right. So kan or kan. Kermit the Frog in the bathroom of the pawn shop. Wait. Yes. In the bathroom of the pawn shop. Running after running after the thing it's being sold. So with the hands and the eyes.
看
And he looked at it. I felt faint.
书
Okay. Let's move right along here.
儿
Maybe our third or fourth traditional character. First traditional character. Early group. R. are legs. I see the legs. Mortar. Intriguing. Oh, right. No initial. So Master Chief is involved. An arcade. Yeah. Legs. Looks like legs. Enough said. Sink. Chen. Chen. Liang. Liang. Sufficient. Chong. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I don't remember seeing this. Oh, wait, this is probably simplified by removing the two things in the middle, maybe. I don't know about that. Huh. Okay. Mortar. Why does this look like mortar? I mean, it kind of looks like. This component depicts a mortar, a vessel that you put things. Oh, that type of mortar. To grind them up with the pestle. It looks somewhat like a sun that is broken up, representing the act of breaking things up in a mortar. I like that. I like that. Maternal uncle. Oh, Joe. Interesting. So, Shu. Shu, like Shu. It's paternal? What the? Ain't no way that's old. Like, that's, wow. This might be a different type of old, though. Maybe for people, or, no, I don't know. What? Yeah, it's not Lao, right? Yo, wow. What is happening there? There's a mortar in there, though. Ow. Oh, mortar is simplified into. It's probably simplified into. Okay. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, no, wait, that doesn't make sense. Mortar is replaced with two different things. Intriguing. Or removed in general. Oh, yeah, actually. What would this be? Oh, no, it's removed by. It's simplified in many different ways, actually.
R.
Alright, what are you doing with legs and mortar, Master Chief? Master Chief is inside the arcade, playing arcade games with his son. Nice. If he had a son. I'm not sure if Master Chief has a son. His son is just a pair of legs with a mortar body that can walk around. His son is killing it in Dance Revolution. Given that he's just a pair of legs attached by big mortar, like his dad, he rarely speaks. Master Chief is so proud of his son, but characteristically says nothing and only watches him play DDR. Alright. That's a tough sell. Oh, hey. Arnie. We got this. Is it the other way around? It's the other way around for children. But not sons and daughters, but children in Japanese. Arnie. Niar. Nar. Kindergarten. Yo, are. Yeah, oh, is that? Oh, that's still the same. Yuan. Yuan? Yuan. Gongyuan. Yuan. Gongyuan, right? The same yuan. You're yuan. Funny that they use that one. Arts. Yeah, arts. So, Master Chef is in the Master Chef is what? In the arcade?
R
In the arcade with his son. That is just some mortar and some legs.
本
Ben. Okay, Ben. Alright. Tree. Tree is tree. We're fine. Branches. Shu. Oh, Moo. Oh, really? Moo. Okay. It's a different one. So Moo. Ling. Sung. I could have sworn it was Ling, but that might be something else. Now, for forest. It might be Kanto, actually. Only Kanto. Ju. Ju. Apricot. Xing. Qing. Wu. Wither. Your task is, oh yeah, and then the bottom is a tree. So the simplest way is to extract a bit of wood from the bottom of the tree. Yeah, same thing, carving. Stupid. Bun. Bun. Okay. Book. Oh, notebook.
本
Right, we gotta be careful. Notebook. Okay. Bart is in the basement of the infirmary trying to find a doctor's notebook so that he can fake a sick note to skip school. He finally finds one and tears out a page and writes, Bart is very sick. Should skateboard more to recover. Bart laughs with impish satisfaction. Okay. Is that Shuben? Wow, it's so small you can't even see the... They had to simplify the strokes because it's so small. Shuben. Benren. Interesting. Yourself. Benren. Instead of like 你自己 or something like that. Ben Lai. Huh. Benzi. And oh no. It's not Li, it's a Ke. Dang it. Like Ke as in class. Keben. Alright. Bart is what, in the basement looking for the doctor's notebook. Make a sick notice. Yeah. Okay. Legs. R.
R
Art is in the basement of the infirmary. Yes.
本
Oh, right. There's notebook for both. Alright, I think this is our last set, right? Ming. Yep. Sun, moon. Okay. Mickey Mouse. English manor. Inside. Mickey Mouse is inside the living room of the English manor. At one side of the room is a huge cartoon sun, and the other side of the room is a huge cartoon moon. Both shining bright. Oh, that's clever. I like that. In fact, I mean, actually, I drew something like that before. making the sun and moon the source of light in a picture. In fact, it is so bright that Mickey Mouse cannot see. Blinded by the bright light coming off the two objects, he holds his hand out in front of him and walks with a squint, trying to find an exit, tripping over everything in the process. That's a bit vivid thing. Oh. Ming. Ming. Obviously. Ming. 明星, right? 明星, we got that from Duolingo. 明和. Oh, 名字. Oh, that's true. Not her. There's the stroke is different when, you know. 名字, like 知道, right? 知. So aware, that makes sense. Okay, Ming. What was this? Wait, what does the MI stand? Does the MI stand for? Oh, Mickey Mouse, right?
明 明
Wait. Oh, there's only one lesson that sticks out? Oh, that's weird. Alright, so we got 44 review. Ooh. More components to the list. Look at all these characters. Alright. Let's go. Was Yoshi just Y? I think Yoshi is just Y.
一
E. Right. Dracula. Still D.
的
Mario is M.
么
True.
十
Beach is like this.
A
Prisoner. Yeah.
月
Fine. Yeah. Right? What is this? Yoshi in the basement with the alligators, and he's also an alligator,
Yeah.
yes. Two moon companions, Patrick Star in the English, yes.
横 手工
工人
工人
人手
人手
人手不行
步行
Not okay. Okay. 20
20
人工
人工
二手
二手
Oh yeah, that's right. Pouch. 佣人
用人
一
七
Oh no. Do we just use noon for this? Son of a bee sting. It's not gun. Oh, it's a sundial. That's right. From yesterday. Is it MI? Yes.
咪
Oh no. This is a J or a JI? Oh, I think it's a JI.
鸡
I don't remember Kirby. Oh no. Oh no, wait, I do remember Kirby. It's fine. Kirby is the rote memory one because they didn't go with something that's near rhyming. 子女
子女七
Oh, they wanted one word. That's right. Me
米
们
们
人
人
毛. This one I made an error before.
毛
Oh. Uh. 五
五
九
九
九九 Trying to remember all the little stories as I'm going. I don't pause too often. Water. Does that make sense? Hulk. Hulk is in. Hulk is in the basement. Oh, of the office building? Oh, setting things on fire, yes.
火车
Oh, it's a no sign. Okay. Ugh, I keep forgetting it's a no sign. Hmm. Is Harry just H or HA? I think it's just H.
喝
Yo.
药
Oh no. Yeah, that's
Huh.
fine, actually. um.
他
This is the Tarzan thing, yeah. Dodging alligators and from the Slender Man. um. What was this? Harry Potter Harry Potter in the barn basement. Oh, for discovering the child, the
好，
picture of the woman and child. Dang, that went really, really quick. All right. I think having around 40 and 20 lessons is not bad. That feels good. That feels very good. All right. So let's review. Oops. Our stuff here. Had a really interesting discussion with someone else who's also learning Chinese yesterday as I was doing this portion. All right. All right. So we got some new stuff. ZU. Zeus. And Sherlock. Now I, water, sword, saw, mortar, notebook, harpoon, legs, tree. Right? And then I need to write the meat. There's a lot of room. Okay. 做 水 oops 水 分 看 二 分 分 明 Do I need to go over what these mean? Yeah, because they're separate characters. It's not vocabulary words. Okay. It's dual to do. Say water. Art. To look at. Sun. Notebook. Bright. Okay. And let's go down here quickly. 午夜18 Okay. Now let's do our thing. Oh, wait, yeah, let's do our thing. So Zeus is out. No, Zeus is in a bathroom. Zeus is in bathroom of the office. Office building. What was Zeus in a bathroom in the office building doing? Oh, giving a saw to Slender Man. Out of here, Slender Man. Telling him to cut his arm. To do it. To cut his arm as a show of strength. Demonstrating. Okay. So then we have Sherlock. What is Sherlock doing? Sherlock is inside. Sherlock is inside the beach house. Sherlock is inside the beach house. And what was he doing inside the beach house? Sherlock was inside the beach house. Oh, no, not inside the beach house. Wait, I kind of remember Sherlock. Oh, no, Shay. Oh, Shay, not Shay. Shay. Not inside the beach house. Sherlock was in the basement. Wow, this stuff really auto-corrects itself. Basically, if you remember the things that are associated with each other, it self-corrects. Like, I'm like, wait, Shay? That doesn't sound right. Because the story doesn't sound correct as well. Sherlock was in the basement of the beach house checking on the water bill, right? Checking the water pipes and stuff because of the water bill. And found out a mafia of crabs. Bootleg operation. Okay. So who was doing eyes? It was eyes and hands. So eyes and hands. Who was messing around with eyes and hands? Kermit the Frog was messing with eyes and hands. So Kermit was in the pawn shop. So was in the bathroom of the pawn shop. Pawn shop following an artifact that was hand, so no hand. A hand with eyes in the palm, and he stared at it. He looked at it and became faint. Right. Okay. So what about sword? Sword. Someone was swinging the sword. Frodo. Frodo was swinging the sword. In the infirmary. So Frodo. No, was outside of the infirmary? Yeah, outside the infirmary. Frodo was outside of the infirmary. Infirmary. I should come up with like a stencil. That's for this. Oh, like a flow chart. Oh, that'd be great. We should come up with a flow chart. Maybe after a month, we'll come up with a flow chart. Frodo was outside of the infirmary, pulling out his sword to cut down fins. Fins. What is fin? Yeah, fins. Into parts. Then then we have Master Chef. I know, it's Master Chief, but Master Chef. Master Chef is in the arcade. Master Chef really likes spending his time in the arcade, huh? So war. Wait. Okay, I think it's... Am I being a butt? R. I feel like it's Master Chef is in the arcade. Right? Inside the arcade. With his son, who happens to only be legs and a mortar for a head. Playing really good at DDR. R. Right? Yeah. Yeah, it just self-corrects itself. Nice. We also have... Who the heck is B? Bart Simpson. Bart Simpson. So Bart is in the basement. It's too far away. Basement. Basement looking for basement of the infirmary. Looking for a notebook. Make a sick notice. What the heck uses a harpoon and a... I don't have anything that uses a harpoon. Or a tree. The heck? Yeah, I think those are just standalone right now. Oh, maybe it's because of a weird number of lessons. I guess 20. So we also have someone else, right? We have Mickey Mouse. So Mickey, which is MI. Mickey is in the inside. Mickey is inside the English Manor. Like that? Yeah. Mickey is inside the English Manor. English Manor. Looking, two things. The sun and the moon. Blinding him. Is that right? Portraits of that. So yeah, we did not use harpoon or tree today. Yeah, that's it. I don't think there's anything else. Some of these, okay. So I kind of like this mnemonic in the reverse direction. So the mnemonic is not helping me at the moment in the forward direction. However, it's kind of helping me in the reverse direction at the moment. So where I'm like, I don't remember what this tone is, right? And then suddenly I recall the mnemonic. I'm like, no, wait, the tone is this because that is happening there. Now, there is something that isn't intuitive right now, which could be a bonus. And that's the activity is somehow contextually related to the location. So for example, if you're in the basement, you do basement things, right? Some of these stories, you can kind of imagine them in the basement. And they did do that in a sense. So every new location has a descriptor of what's in the first tone, in the second tone, in the third tone, and in the fourth tone, right? So they attempted to establish the setting for 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when you think about the English manner, they try to characterize what's in the English manner at 1, 2, 3, and 4 locations. So then that becomes the context for what the people do in that location of that position in that location. So some of these immediately remind you of something. Like for example, what was one? The Hulk thing. Hulk is in the office building basement burning memos because he's angry. That's kind of funny. At the same time, you wouldn't be burning memos inside the office, or like in the office or right outside the entrance of the office, or you might be burning it in the bathroom. So there is some non-specific, but I could definitely see a way where you make it so that the location is incredibly detailed enough, or you get used to detailing the location, and then you can associate the different activities in the basement. Like for example, if Xena is doing something, then so is Master. It reminds you that Xena was doing something in the English manner, which Mickey was also chilling in the manner doing something, right? So then you have like associations based on other things, which could be this could get so complex and so interesting. I should start creating a web to see how this looks. What this reminds me of is my 50-day my my second 50-day Chinese review, where I wrote all the characters that I knew. Then I wrote all the reads that I knew they had, and then I connected all the reads together to form the vocabulary word. So it's funny that I actually have an example of this. This was my 50-day review of doing this to remember all the reads. So in this case, what I find as a silver lining for this is it's helping me correct my tones, the default written tones. I guess the dictionary tones, or which is kind of cool. I didn't realize I was gonna expect that, because sometimes I forget the tones. I'm a little like loosey goosey like that, largely because it's a little bit more difficult when characters are standing alone as opposed to being reinforced by all the characters around it, right? You get to a point where when you hear something like I don't know, 同学, right? 同学, or 学生, right? 学生, 学校, you get used to hearing the tones in the words. But then when you go and say like 嗯 or R, I could say 儿子, but is that a 2 or, and that it's getting me to correct that, which is really, really interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Pretty cool. Anyways, did I make an error? No, it looks like this volume is pretty good. This volume's pretty good. I didn't necessarily pause in a lot of things. There are things that make me nervous. like Kirby. Kirby makes me nervous because Kirby is not related. It's a rote memory thing, so I'm dedicating a lot of things to Kirby. Napoleon is one of the first early errors because Napoleon is they wrote it as NV3, which is a new way to look at it. And then some of these things where you have optional the notation is you have optional letters, so they may or may not exist, like in Beach House. E could just end up being abbreviated to E, and then right, could be just without the E, that kind of thing. Neat. Anyways, I'm gonna head off now. I got a lot of studying to do on the got a lot of prep work to do for Tuesday. Today is about to be Monday soon. Only 2 days left, including today or this evening. There you have it. It's HanziHero. We're doubling the volume, so it's not the so we'll see how doubling the volume will affect the thing. I don't think doubling the volume seemed too substantially bigger. Right, and we'll try this for another 2 weeks. See how that compares. So until next time, you know, if you're gonna watch this later, 谢谢. Right. Yeah, 下次见. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.